practical is the philosophy of Miyamoto Musashi? So we're going to be looking through this. This is the Book of Bushido, and we're going to be talking about page 311. My name's Anthony Cummins. I'm a historical researcher, and I deal with historical ninjutsu and samurai warfare. And I've done a book called The Book of Bushido. So if you want to help me, get a copy. But if you really, really want to help me, can you please pass this video around and onto places where you think people will enjoy this type of thing. So we're going to go through it quite slowly, so it won't be a race. So sit back, relax, and let's look at Musashi's scroll, which is called Dokodo, but it's sort of walking the way alone. And this is his advice for living life. But how practical is it today? Now, this was translated by Miyako Koizumi, with me sort of helping with the English. And let's go through them. Number one, never disobey the righteous ways of the world. So that will depend on the translation there with righteous, but assuming it's, you know, close, you know, to what we consider righteous. And the idea is that that's not laws, that's righteous ways, meaning that which is correct to do. So if the way of the world is correct, no matter what it is, if it's correct, you should go with it and obey that. And that's probably quite practical, because if you don't, you're probably going to end up in trouble. And many of us will probably end up in trouble over our lives because we're just not quite on that righteous way. So if it comes to a decision in life, pick it. If it feels bad, don't do it. Don't engage in the pleasures of the flesh. Now, again, with these Buddhist sort of things, don't do this, don't do that, don't drink alcohol. I think it's very rare that it means never do it. I think it means don't overindulge. But literally, the Japanese sort of don't indulge in it. And by indulge, it means go too far. So yes, if you're into too much sex, drugs, alcohol, it's a clear winner, that, isn't it? You're not going to really get very far if you just, that's all you pursue in life. Never have a mind ruled by prejudice. So that's pretty good, actually. So you come across a situation and you think, actually stop. What is my brain telling me to think about this versus what's actually happening? So how prejudiced are you? And it can be quite a lot. You have to stop yourself and think, actually, yeah, I do think about that wrong when I enter the situation. So basically what he's saying there is always enter the situation with a blank mind and just be ready for what's actually happening. Consider yourself lightly and with modesty, but consider the world and other people with depth. So if it's happening to you, relax. It doesn't matter. Don't get irate. Don't go mental over everything. Just, it's all right. But if it's outside you and it's something that needs your attention, give it depth of thought. So if you've had something stolen from you, don't worry about it. Relax. Get it back if you can, or replace it, or do something. But if somebody else had something stolen, do your best to find it for them. The idea is that you put more effort into other people than you put into yourself. It makes you less selfish. Never allow yourself to think with desire. So, yep, if you're going to make a decision on something, don't make it through desire. Realize what you want versus what you need. Do I need another piece of cake, or do I want another piece of cake? Do I need a better car, or do I want a better car? Never regret what you have done. This is a difficult one, this, because without shame and regret doesn't change your actions. But I also understand if you combine this with the rest of the rules, it means you might have done something wrong in the past, but don't dwell on it, but do something right in the future. So that depends how you approach that one. Because you could say, I'll do anything I want and never regret it. But then again, if you follow all of these principles, then you know, if you have made a mistake, just don't regret it, get on with it. Never view other people's fortunes or misfortune with a jealous mind. I think this is one of the better ones. We're not all equal in this life. We're not born equal. We're not given equal opportunities. We're not done equal things. It's just a simple fact that some people work hard and get there. Some people don't work hard. So don't be jealous of someone because they're much further along the path than you. They might have started further along the path. They might be born with loads of wealth. They might be born, or somebody might be born crippled. Somebody might be born with better mathematical skills. Don't be jealous of other people. Only focus on how you can move on. Never feel sorrow when parting from any situation. Yeah, I think this is one of the biggest struggles in life, is if you're moving on to something new, you think, oh, I missed that and I want to look back at that and I really enjoyed them times and I want to go back to this. That can cause a lot of heartache, if you like, and a lot of problems. And you think, oh, when actually you should be making new memories. You've got a life, you've got to live it, you've got to go do new things, get on with new people, do new things. So yes, it's like look back to the past, but just get on with something new. Never harbour complaints about other people or yourself. Yep, if you've got a complaint about someone, either face it or just go away. Don't be like struggling with it. Don't be like, this person's annoying me, and let it build up and stew inside you. Don't do it. Never dwell on the topic of love. So that's, again, a difficult one here, because how much does it mean by dwelling it? Does he mean never be in love, or does he mean never like focus on just love, attachment, like sexual desire versus love? People want both. They want love and sexual desire. They also want platonic love. I want people to like me. Never focus on it. Just relax, go forward, focus your own mind, do your own thing. Never have likes and dislikes or anything. I think by that's a difficult one, again, that, because it could be, it's a bit ambiguous. So obviously I don't like cabbage, but I like salad. Both are healthy for you, but I can't stand cabbage. Except in Japan, where it's chopped really finely and you can just eat with chopsticks, which is bizarre. It doesn't taste like cabbage. Weird. But basically, don't go along and say, I like that, I don't like that, I like doing this, I don't like doing that. Just go with each thing as it comes and flow and relax. Never desire a resplendent house, but maintain simplicity. It actually just says in this, the original, never desire, you know, houses. And the idea here is that obviously you've got to have a house. You know, he's not saying live in the streets, but never be like, oh, I want a bigger house, I want that better house, I want the better gateway, I want this. If you can afford it, get it, but don't force yourself. Like, I always find it weird when you go to a bank and they say what mortgage you can have, and you say, well, you can have this many thousands of pounds mortgage, and they do it to the top. They're like, well, we'll get it, we can push and get that one, when they could probably just go somewhere else and get one 3/4 the price and be happy. Do you know what I mean? And then have lots of money to spare. But for some reason, when people buy houses, they go for the best top one. Now, I think the difference with Musashi here is he probably had getting a house was much easier for him, because at the end of the day, medieval time, you could literally build a shack and enjoy yourself. If you didn't mind living in a shack with some firewood and some fire, you could probably much get away with it, especially if you're samurai, you want a sword or a ronin, you know. But we're talking about now, you can't do that in modern days. You will literally turf you off everywhere. Land is all owned. It's a bit difficult. So probably we could change that one, because it's not so practical for today, to don't force yourself to get the greatest house you can. Just enjoy simple houses. Never indulge in sophisticated food. Now, again, I'm not sure about that one, because he's saying keep it simple, keep your diet simple. And medically is correct. If you lived your entire life on water, vegetables, fruit, you know, good things for your gut, you would be wonderfully healthy. But would you really enjoy life? So I think the way to take that one forward is don't overindulge in food. Don't go mental on chocolate. Don't go mental on sugar. Don't go mad on dairy and all that sort of stuff. Just keep it simple, keep it safe. So never own antiques that have been passed down. Now, this probably goes against most of the other samurai at the time, because samurai loved antiques, and he probably saw that in. This is Musashi standing out in Japan. That's not the norm. People love tea ceremony stuff, antique instruments, antique houses, antique bells, antique Buddhist things, antique scrolls, antique swords. They loved it in Japan. And he's saying, and I've actually, since I used to love antiques as well, and I buy antiques. You can see I live in an old house, and I like, but actually now I think let's make antiques for the future. Pay, instead of paying a lot of money for an antique, pay a craftsman today, a local craftsman, or somebody who does it, you know, not machine made somewhere, a good amount of money to do some of that will last you for generations. And I think that's better. So instead of, what he's meaning there is, don't, just keep your life simple. You need a chair, get a chair. You need a plate, just have a plate. You don't need gorgeous plates. You don't need gorgeous chairs. You need a pair of chopsticks. Throwaway ones are fine. Don't worry about it. Just keep your life simple. Never fear superstitions or evil. Now, this one's been translated multiple different ways with different people. But basically, he's saying, if it isn't a real threat and you're making it up in your mind, or it seems like it might be made up, or it's not genuinely there, don't worry about it. Don't worry about those things. You know, he's not saying that evil doesn't exist, or God doesn't exist, or Buddhism doesn't exist. What he's saying is, if it's a superstition, don't worry about it. If it's this concept of an evil entity, just deal with it when it gets there. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Never focus on worldly goods except in the case of military weapons. So here he's saying you don't have to have quality stuff, like saying we don't have to have an amazing plate. You don't have to have an amazing pair of chopsticks made out of the gold like some of the aristocrats in Japan used to have. You don't need them. But when it comes to weapons, or it comes to equipment for your job, is what he's saying, do not scrimp. Get the best equipment you can for your job. So if you need a computer for your job, get a good one. If you need a saw for your job, get a good one. If you need a sword, get a good one. So the point here is, if you are doing a job Make sure your equipment is top notch. And when you get paid well, don't buy top notch plates and chopsticks and houses. Get simple, robust things. Never fear death when falling away. Probably the most difficult one so far. It's easy to say never fear death. But yes, you do. Can anybody down below in the comments let me know if you've got this far in the video? There's moments where you fear death, not at all. It's like, yeah, kill me, it's not a problem. And there's other moments where you're like, oh my God, you're going to die. You know, it's really weird that you jump between the two. What do you think about that? Where sometimes you can be in a state of absolute no problem about dying. And in other times you can be in a state of, oh my God, we're going to die. You know what I mean? What do you think about that? Do not accumulate valuable treasures for your old age. This is another one. I'm moving house and I'm packing up at the minute, and I've just packed up my in-laws. Well, they've packed themselves and I've moved them. And oh my God, you do not need that amount of things. And I do not need this amount of things. Many years ago, actually, I decided to stop buying most things except for DVDs, CDs, and books. And I still to this day buy DVDs from charity shops because they're better than online. Like my friend says, actually it's my cousin. My cousin says, when the terrorists attack and all the when all the terrorists attack and all the internet has been shut down and you've only got electric, put your DVDs on. So let's go with Wilkie wisdom. Right. So yeah, don't have too many things. The gods and the Buddhas are holy, but do not rely on them. Basically, rely on yourself. You know, the gods might be there. We don't know what's beyond the veil of life, but don't fear superstitions. Don't rely on the gods. Just be a good person. You know, get yourself there. Never abandon your honor and pride, even if you have to sacrifice yourself. So yes, this is the other one. Like, I hate cheaters. So anybody who cheats at a game, even if a kid's cheating at a game, I'll be like, ah, you're an idiot. The kid's crying, I'm like, you are evil. Get out. I hate cheating. So, you know, it's this that idea of like, I will win this game, but deception. And I hate it. I can't stand it. Anybody like, you play a game, you win fair, you win square. I don't like, when I play kids, I don't like, stop, you're going to win. My nephew Cyrus, I'm like, play chess, I'm going to beat you. I beat him every time, but he's getting better. And if I'm like, oh yeah, there you go, Cyrus. But, you know, so he feels good. I'm like, that was a great move, or that's a bad move, or that's not a bad move. You know, you're doing all right there. So he feels like the game is good because he's not just getting hammered. Same with my girlfriend, she's just learning chess. I'm like, hammer her every time. She gets dead despondent. I'm like, no, don't cheat, don't think it, you'll get good, just keep going. So this idea that no matter what it is, don't change it. Like, I've been debating recently with someone about how far we can push some of the ninja into, you know, the ninja research into that we do into, could you skirt the edge of fantasy or not? And it's like, there's a line. Don't matter, you give me 1 million subscribers, give me 1 million views, give me £1 million. We're not crossing that line. It's not being crossed. You cannot be bought, basically, guys. If you've got something that's worth selling it, get £1 million. But if it means you have to lose your honour, your pride, don't do it. Don't do it. Never stray from the path of military ways. Now, this is pretty much for a samurai, isn't it? Or for those who are following the samurai path. Never stray from military ways. And I think that's pretty true in that sense. I study most days. This is what I'm doing, my Natori stuff. I study, I work at home, got military stuff. We work on swordsmanship and things like that. My life, even though I sit in this chair most of the bloody day, it's study of military. And when we can get together, now we're post-COVID, or hopefully properly post-COVID, we'll be out there. And that was written in 1645 on the 5th month of the 12th day by Musashi. So what do you think, guys? Do you think it's practical? Do you think it's something to live by? Now, I've seen other videos on Miyamoto Musashi's 21 principles, and you know what, they've got millions of views and mine don't. So please do me a favor, get yourself a copy of the Book of Bushido, and if you can, spread this around, get some comments on it, get some likes, but can you just link it wherever you can link it, guys? That would be really helpful for me. Thank you.